Well, hey, friends, it's David Nuno. We call this TexAgs Rewind. I'm trying to talk real happy here. Got my friends from the fan show, Matt and Chase. Hello, guys.
Howdy.
Hey.
What was the best part of today's show? You guys or some of the other stuff?
The suit.
The warm, yeah.
No, the suit.
It's pretty nails.
The suit nailed it. He nailed it.
That is sportscaster David Nuno.
I mean,
right
that guy, like, I don't like sitting next to him because
Is it intimidating?
I feel ugly sitting next to him.
Well, I always feel ugly next to him, but
He's so pretty.
You guys are making me feel so good about myself, but he's wearing apparently the schmedium that I usually wear today. Look at the guns on this guy.
It's a few years old.
He's at the gun show today.
Gun show. Finally, I can use it on somebody. I'm not wearing a tight shirt. All right, so here on the show, by the way, we're brought to you by T-Mobile. They want you to visit T-Mobile.com/acrossamerica to learn and get value and coverage through T-Mobile. We talked about Aggie Muster, the meaning of that with OB there during the Go Hour. That's why I'm dressed the way I am. Appreciate the Association of Former Students having me over there to be part of the roll call. Stephen McGee, the quarterbacks that A&M is going to face in 2022. Great conversation with McGee. Coach Schlossnagle was on here as well. We talked about the Arkansas series coming up and also how big it's been the last couple of weeks. They've been playing so well. And these guys, we call it the fan.
Fan show.
Fan show?
No, say it the way he said it.
Fan show.
Thank you. Fan show, guys. We'll see you. And now we begin the Go Hour with the jam-packed show and my buddy, Olin Buchanan. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
You
look sharp today.
Thank you. I look like a TV anchor today.
You do. Yeah.
It's funny. You know this about me. I like to over-prepare. I don't know if over-prepare is the right word. That's kind of giving myself too much credit. But I like to be prepared in everything I do in life. I like my kids' soccer stuff ready to go the night before because I think, I like to have. So I did a lot of the show rundown yesterday afternoon. I like to do it in the morning because I think news can kind of break. And I want to be able to react to the most current news. Yeah. And we're still going to do that. But I started doing that yesterday so I could this morning spend most of my time preparing for my roll call there at Muster. I did not think about my wardrobe. I just went in there and found the suit and I said, let's go. Let's go do it.
All right, look sharp. I think Muster, once I got here and started learning about all of A&M's traditions, of course, I didn't go to A&M. I think Muster's the one that I think is most meaningful. What is a greater act of respect and love than to just remember someone that has passed on?
Yeah.
And for a university to to mark a day that you're going to honor and remember those people who have passed along this year, I think is just remarkable. I'm not saying that other universities don't have people that they lose and they think about them, but
sure,
to mark a day that hey, we're going to make sure that everybody remembers them and somebody's going to answer the roll call for them, I just think is just a wonderful thing. And I remember when Gabe and I went down to the El Salvador Muster and spoke, and I was just taken aback by the whole event.
Yeah.
And I know in some places it's like a barbecue and it's a really good time. Other places it's a little more solemn and things like that. It's fine. You muster the way you want to muster. But I just think it's a great, just an amazing concept. And then to actually, do it all over the country.
Yep.
Every year, to me is just something that I really admire and respect about Texas A&M.
Well, I was honored to be there, to be in a room with, military personnel, general, in there with the head coach of Texas A&M, the athletic director, Porter Gardner. Like, it's a little intimidating to be around that kind of level of people, but they also had everybody. Everybody could read at this event, and it was to honor those Aggies. So I was just very touched by being it. I even, when I was preparing for it, going back to my preparation, I was kind of just going through the names, and I found couple names of people that I knew that I did not know passed on. One of them was my boy's Sunday school teacher from years past, and it was touching. I'm going to reach out to the family today. I did not know, so it's it's a great way that A&M does honor those who have fallen here in the last year. You've got Van Dyke at Miami, KJ Jefferson at Arkansas, Will Rogers at Mississippi State, Spencer Rattler at South Carolina. You got Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. You've got Richardson at Florida. Finley, Calzada there at Auburn, Jaden Daniels, Miles Brennan, Nussmeier at LSU. So when you hear those names, Stephen, who do you think are the 2-3 best that A&M's going to face?
It's hard. None of those guys really jump out to me at all. I think some people would point to the Arkansas kid. I was not impressed with him, to be honest with you. I think he's a little bit limited throwing the football. I'm interested to see Miles Brennan again. He had some great moments before he got hurt. I know he hadn't played in a long time, but he may have a hard time winning the position from a kid that a lot of people have talked about that I know was one of the two guys that A&M recruited several years ago, Nussmeier, or is it, how do you say it? Nussmeier. He's a coach's son. Anyway, I know they've said he's a great quarterback. And so LSU's going to have weapons. They always recruit weapons. They have great wide receivers. He should have some good targets to throw to. And a quarterback-minded head coach, those two are the ones that I keep my eye on more than any, with the highest ceiling. I'm not saying that they're the best of everybody, but I could see them coming onto the college football scene in a big way this year.
Talking to Stephen McGee here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. I'll ask you this follow-up. Why do certain positions take a little bit longer to develop there in college football? We know quarterback takes some time, but sometimes you hear about the wide receivers taking a little bit. You saw with the offensive line last year. Why does that some of those positions take a little bit longer to figure out, and others you can kind of just come and go?
Everybody's different. Everybody learns differently. Some guys need reps to learn. I needed reps to learn. I wasn't a guy that could just go in the meeting room and go out in the field and get it done. Some guys need the ability to have time to mature, right, physically and mentally. They don't have what it takes day one, whether they need to mentally mature and become, mentally more tough. It's a very different game than it is in high school. A lot more pressure, a lot more competition, but obviously the physical development. But I think more than anything, you have to, what kind of system are they going into? And I think when you look at A&M, it's even more difficult because Jimbo's system is complex. It is not a plug and play system in a spread where they have 10 plays and they have 10 formations. They run the same 10 plays out, like Mike Leach. I know I'm making it a little bit simple, but they don't have many protections. It's just here it is what we do. We play with tempo and, it works every week. We don't really adjust that much. Jimbo's offense is, hey, you got to understand not just your job. You've got to understand what the defense is doing and then be able to adjust your route. If it's cover 2, you run a 7 route. If it's cover 1 or cover 3, you run a comeback. And you've got to be able as a receiver to understand what the coverage is. And, oh, by the way, if it's will-free safety blitz, you got to side adjust. You got to give the quarterback a hot answer. So it relies on these guys to do a lot more. And that takes maturing. It's not a simple system.
Who are some names in the other dugout and on that Razorback club that fans headed to the ballpark should really keep an eye on, and guys that you're going to try and neutralize this weekend as well?
Oh, man, for Arkansas, there's so many. Obviously, it's just Coach Van Horn has one of the most consistent, winning, developing player programs in college baseball. I mean, the job he's done has just been absolutely phenomenal. On the mound, the Friday night guy Nolan was actually went there to play football as a quarterback and ended up being a baseball player and a Friday night starter in the SEC. They have a freshman named Hagen Smith, who I saw a lot of from the Metroplex area, a big freshman lefty that's certainly a future first-rounder if he can stay healthy. He pitches in the middle game. And then, oh, by the way, they just roll a sophomore out to the mound on Sundays named Wiggins that throws 100 miles an hour, right? So we have some dude named TBA pitching on the third game, and they got a guy throwing 100 miles an hour starting to learn how to throw strikes. So and there's just a host of guys out of that bullpen that are big arms, which is what Texas A&M should look like and will look like in the coming years. There's no excuse for Texas A&M to not have those kind of pitchers, just one after the other. And then position player wise, the shortstop who played at McLennan is an awful impressive player who decided to come back to school, and one of my favorite players in the country, and we tried like crazy to get him to TCU. He's the son of the general manager of the Kansas City Royals. He's a longtime friend of mine, and he left high school early to go play in college. A little switch hitting second baseman that kind of plays like Dustin Pedroia, and so just an entire team. It's very, very complete team, and going to be a good challenge for us. But it's going to make us better. We're going to get to see what a complete team looks like, and and see if we can match them.
So is 9-3 considered a disaster?
I think it is, yeah. I hate to say that. I really do because of – but if you look at what we've put into it, we've given – what excuses do we have now? What can we go back to saying, all right, you've given your coach plenty of time and everything he could possibly ever need to be successful. We have one goal and one goal. That's it. We want to win a national championship. That is why we brought Jimbo here. Mm-hmm. That's why we spent all the money upgrading all the facilities. That's why we just pounded the pavement, getting the best recruiting class in history in. We've stacked top 5, top 10 recruiting classes on top of each other. We've got talent across the board. And if there is nothing else to say.
And he'll tell you the same thing.
Oh yeah, and he knows it too. And so there is one goal and one goal only, and that is a national championship. And if I think a 9-3 season, even with that schedule, that tough schedule, right? We're not in the playoffs, or if we're not if we're not truly competing for a true national championship this year. I'm not saying we have to win a national championship, but if we're not in everyone's conversation by the end of the season then I think it's a down year.
Well, let me ask you this: they finished 10-2. They win their bowl game. They're 11-2. And what's the hype train going to be a year from now with whatever quarterback is coming back, and the kind of talent that you're going to have returning and growing up? Because I still think youth and inexperience, it scares me next year.
And national championship is 90 miles away in Houston. Mm-hmm.
Is that next year?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
The fall, not this year, the following year. You go 11-2, the hype train, it's going to be going faster than the train right here on Welborn. It is to me, that's when you say it's national championship or bust.
So it's been really interesting, guys. You know what we're about to do. You like, subscribe, comment, share. But I've been asking questions, and people are commenting afterwards. So I'll say, hey, if you're really watching this, say, hey, David. And people say, hey, David. There's been other ones we've done on here that's we're getting some traction with some of the post-credit scenes, if you will. What is something that we can provide for some feedback from these guys? What do you think? What should we ask? I got you guys on the spot, right?
Yeah, you caught us on the spot. If you give me a second beforehand, I'd had it. But just
okay.
What you want us to talk about next week? How about that?
What do we discuss?
Okay, you can do that, or you can tell us Max Headroom. You guys remember that dude?
Yeah.
Do you remember him? No, you don't. That's before your time.
Max Headroom? God, we're getting old, dude.
That dude was on a... Okay, if you know who he is, just tell him, yes, I know Max.
You know Max. You know Max Headroom, yeah.
Yeah, and then whatever you want these dudes to talk about. It's the fan show. No, it's not. It's the TexAgs Rewind. Bye.
Rewind.